Welcome friends to Literature Mantra. I'm Harsh Singh and today's topic of discussion is MA English Entrance Exam of Ambedkar University which is located in Delhi. और इस वीडियो में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे ट्रेंड्स के बारे में और more specifically question pattern because this year they have changed the question pattern. Along with that we will discuss the syllabus for this exam and then we will also broadly discuss how to prepare for Ambedkar University's entrance exam. Very little time is left for the entrance exam so बचे हुए टाइम में preparation कैसे करें so that your marks and score can be maximized. In other words, last minute tips and last minute strategies. So let's start. नए अपडेट्स के लिए आप हमें फॉलो कर सकते हैं फेसबुक पर या इंस्टाग्राम पर या यूट्यूब पर और लिटरेचर मंत्रा के साथ जुड़ना ना भूलें भारत का एकमात्र फ्री ऑनलाइन प्रिपरेशन प्लेटफॉर्म UGC-NET के लिए और इंग्लिश लिटरेचर से जुड़े हुए सभी एग्जाम्स के लिए. Now a brief introduction about Ambedkar University. Ambedkar University is a government university in case you don't already know. This is however not a central university but a state government university. It was established by the Delhi government in 2008 or 10. So 10-12 साल हो गए हैं but अभी भी काफ़ी students हैं जिनको इसके बारे में पता नहीं है. And in case आप अपना masters दिल्ली से करना चाहते हैं then even this university is a good option because even Ambedkar University is a very reputed university. Now coming to the examination pattern. According to the recent changes this year, there will be objective type questions or MCQs and this will account for 75% marks and there will also be an interview which will account for 25% marks. So अगर written exam अच्छा नहीं होता तब interview में अच्छा score कर लेना and even then you will stand a chance of selection and interview as I said accounts for 25% marks. Now moving on to the syllabus. Officially specified syllabus जो है वो ये है. Now I'll just read this for you. The English MA admission test for this year is to be a CBT or computer based test / MCQ. All questions are of this type and there is no part of the test that could be said to be outside the format. The CBT will test the knowledge of the students in key literary events, books, literary theory and the canon of writing. But in keeping with Ambedkar University's English program that has sought to transcend any over dependence on British literature. Now ये वाला जो phrase है mark this transcend any over dependence on British literature. So इसका मतलब ये है कि you can get questions from Australian literature, American literature and even South African literature. And if you have to read some important aspects of Australian literature, focus on important writers. For example, David Malouf, he's quite a important writer in Australian literature. उसके बाद American literature भी है. American literature is quite vast, but focus on important writers and also some recent events. For example, Louise Gluck recently won the Nobel Prize for Literature. She's an American. So try to find out about her works and I've also made a video on this on Louise Gluck. So you can watch it if you want. Then read also something on South African literature, especially important writers. For example, J.M. Coetzee, then Nadine Gordimer, and both of these writers, J.M. Coetzee, Nadine Gordimer, and even the earlier one, Louise Gluck, all of these are Nobel Prize winning writers. Okay, so when it says transcend any over dependence on British literature, it means it will refer to other literatures in English as well. Okay, उसके बाद है the CBT will also include questions from the Indian and subcontinental literary history. Now, what does this mean? Now Indian से तो आप मतलब समझ रहे हो but subcontinental will include writers from Pakistan or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh and so on. So whichever country is part of the Indian subcontinent, you should read something about that as well. And when you read about Indian literature, don't just limit yourself to modern literature. Also focus on medieval and ancient literature, ancient Indian literature. For example, in medieval literature, focus on writers like Ghalib, the very famous Ghalib, and then literary forms like ghazals. What is a ghazal? They might ask you what are the characteristics of a ghazal. And then there is also one more important thing. What is a masnavi? या masnavi किसे कहते हैं? So ये बहुत famous चीजें हैं, ghazal, masnavi. So you should know about this. Then when you deal with ancient Indian literature, of course, Ramayana, Mahabharata, these are always important. And you might ask what questions can they ask from Mahabharata. So one question can be on epithets. They can ask epithets are found in both Western and Indian epics. But what are epithets? So you should know what epithets are. Then there are other important literary works like Panchatantra, Hitopdesh. I hope you know what these works are. But for your information, Panchtantra and Hitopdesh are basically fables. So there are animal characters in these stories, and using animal characters, a lot of moral lessons are given. So this is what Panchtantra and Hitopdesh are about. But read little bit more about them, because these are very important texts, literary texts from ancient Indian literature. उसके बाद था subcontinental literary history. As I said, you should read about writers from other countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. For example, you should know who Taslima Nasreen is and why is she famous or infamous, whatever you can say. But she's a well-known writer from Bangladesh. Then you have Hanif Qureshi. He's a writer of Pakistani origin, but he lives in Britain. He's also a very popular writer, so they might ask you about him or his works. Then you should also read about writers from Sri Lanka. For example, Anood Prajasham. He's an award-winning writer from Sri Lanka. And after this, after the subcontinental literary history, it says, as well as those which test the capacity of the student to read, formulate and interpret. Now this is nothing but reading comprehension. Okay, and broadly, if in reading comprehension you can get questions from poems or prose. Now how to prepare for this exam? Now I have already explained some important aspects of how to prepare for this exam, but something more now. Now if time is little or time is less, focus on revision. If you have already prepared for another entrance exam, just revise your notes. Okay, that is the best thing that you should do when time is little or time is not enough. After that comes literary terms. See, literary terms can be many, but neither do you have to learn all of them, nor can literary terms alone get you selected. But yes, you can easily score and secure easy marks. और important literary terms पर मैंने कुछ videos बनाए हुए हैं. So if you want, you can watch them. The link is given in the description. After that is history of English literature. Now history of English literature is a vast area. Ideally, you should read as much as you can, but at the least, you should study important ages. For example, Shakespearean age, Romantic age, Victorian age. These are very important ages. So suppose if you have to study selectively, then focus on important areas. And these are very important ages from which you'll get questions in every examination and any examination. उसके बाद आते हैं literary theory and criticism पे. जैसा कि mentioned है syllabus में, that literary theory and the canon of writing. Okay. Now literary theory is a very vast area, but focus on key concepts. For example, structuralism, post-structuralism, Marxism, feminism, psychoanalytic theory, and in these areas focus on key theorists. Okay, और इस पर भी मैंने वीडियो बनाए हुए हैं. If you want, you can watch them. Link is given in the description. उसके बाद आते हैं reading comprehension. As I already explained, that in reading comprehension you can either get a unseen poem or a prose. Okay. And the only way to do well in reading comprehension is practice. And in reading comprehension, your speed matters and so does your accuracy. Both matter. And even on reading comprehension, on how to handle reading comprehension, I have made a video. You can watch it if you get time. And as I said in the beginning, if for some reason you can't score well in the written exam, try to score well in the interview. The total of both will determine your final rank. Okay, so don't neglect the interview. That is also important. So with this, I wish you all the best for your exam and I will see you in the next video.